Welcome to the Keriba Building and Construction Community of Practice Yarning Circle. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land we are connecting from. I'm on Turrbal country here in Brisbane, and obviously so is Brother Mark. So I just want to pay respects to our elders, our families, businesses and communities. We also acknowledge you and your organisation and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening into our Yarning Circle today. A little bit about the program. The Keriba Building and Construction Program is powered by tagaimc Management Consultants with the support of Construction Skills Queensland. The Keriba Building and Construction Program provides support to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses within the building and construction industry in far north Queensland and North Queensland. The area covered goes from Bowen up to the Torres Strait Islands and out towards the Northern Territory border. I'd like to welcome Brother Mark Kucks, who is a descendant of the Yagara people on his grandmother's side and the Kalali people on his grandfather's side. He has been lucky enough to grow up on country in Brisbane and has spent over 2 decades working in the Indigenous employment, training and policy areas. Too deadly. Mark spent most of his working life in local and state government before moving into Hutchinson Builders, where he has driven their Indigenous initiatives for the past 10 years. He is also the chair of the Indigenous Participation in Construction Committee, which is made up of several Tier 1 and Tier 2 construction companies, Queensland government agencies, and Construction Skills Queensland. One of the great initiatives that Hutchinson Builders have actually implemented and what Mark has been driving is tagaimc, which actually means start work, is Hutchie's flagship initiative that has placed more than 550 Indigenous job seekers into construction careers and has seen more than 170 Indigenous businesses engaged in contracts totaling more than $50 million. My God. So in regards to Brother Mark, I just want to say welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today, and also to Hutchinson Builders to be part of our community of practice. My brother, can I get you to share about your role in your organisation and what you actually, what are you focused on?
Yeah, no worries, Murray, and thanks for having me, and hello to everyone out there. I guess, yeah, just a little bit of background. Yeah, as you alluded to, I joined Hutchies back in 2012 as an Indigenous specialist, and it was really about assisting Hutchies and our project teams on, particularly where we had policy requirements on projects, whether they be, well, it was actually mainly around Indigenous participation at the time and heavily focused on Queensland. The job was really to build Hutchies' capacity in this space, and to, you know, like everything we do, we wanted to be the best at doing what we do. And as you mentioned, this evolved over into the Start of Miaga program, where we've run an Indigenous employment program for the good part of the last 6-7 years, and amongst that, building the work that we do across the Indigenous business sector to introduce more Indigenous businesses to our teams and to our projects. Again, largely centred on Queensland, but now we've probably got easily 20 to 30 Indigenous businesses working across our Sydney teams, similarly in Melbourne, and building what we do in Tassie as well. Brisbane and Queensland probably takes up about 75% of Hutchies' work. That's where the bulk of our team is. That's where Hutchies was born 110 years ago. So that's the large part of our focus. And again, my team, our small team, is really focused on that Indigenous aspect, but also broader social responsibility policy areas. Different states have different requirements. There's a massive push in New South Wales for women in construction, similarly in Victoria. And Victoria have also got big pushes around things like youth, migrants, return servicemen even. So we look at those different policy areas and requirements for Hutchies.
Brother Mark, I know that when you started with the company, you entered as an Indigenous participation, obviously lead. I know your role has evolved a little bit. What are you currently evolved into, my brother? Just considering, I know the conversations that we've had sort of previously, I know your role's gotten a little bit bigger, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the focus of the Hutchinson family, I work really closely with Scott Hutchinson and his son Jack, the chair and deputy chair of our board. And as far as they're concerned, the work that we do in the Indigenous participation area will be our focus, our primary focus every time. But there is a massive push in the construction industry for more women in construction. Like I said before, big pushes in New South Wales and Victoria. New South Wales has basically just made it free training for any woman that gets into construction, whether it be pre-apprenticeship or changing careers or apprenticeships and that sort of stuff. So, and with that comes, how do we make the environment safe for everyone? So there's a lot of stuff around wellness, mental health, people's well-being, that sort of stuff.
Mark, I'm just wondering, in regards to, obviously you shared that over 70% of your business is still here in this wonderful state of ours in Queensland, you know, Maroons through and through. I'm just wondering, in regards to the opportunities that are presenting within your own supply chain, and obviously the program's focus is around far North Queensland and North Queensland. Could you provide a bit of what's the lay of the land in regards to opportunities for our Indigenous building and construction businesses up there in far North Queensland and North Queensland?
Yeah, look, I always think, I've mixed feelings about how quotas and policies and that sort of thing work, but I'm the product of a quota. My first job was in the Brisbane City Council when they had a target to employ 20 Indigenous trainees into the organisation. I would never have got into government and administration work without a quota being set. So I always think of policies and quotas as an opportunity for a foot in the door. What they provide is the ability to get you in front of a head contractor, your ability to show your capability and your wares. And like I said, it's a foot in the door and an opportunity to start creating a relationship and a partnership. So big opportunities, particularly around those government projects, whether they be state in housing, health, education sectors, that sort of stuff, and obviously a big push down the federal space as well, particularly around defence jobs and that sort of thing.
What are some of the current projects you have up in far North Queensland and North Queensland at the moment, Mark?
One of the things I'll probably talk about later is in terms of partnerships and relationships, and we have a massive book of work just from repeat clients. So Cairns Hospital alone just keeps knocking on our door to say, can you look at the next job? Can you look at this? Can you do a lab, mental health facility, extension to the hospital over here? So there's lots of stuff going on, particularly with the Cairns Local Health. We're doing you probably know, Murray, the extension of the hospital up on Thursday Island at the moment. That keeps getting extended because they've got a construction company on the island. So can you do this? Can you do that? So the bulk of the work is around projects that are coming out of Queensland Health and Public Works for us, particularly in North Queensland. We've got some private clients in the broader North Queensland area around aged care, but also still the large part of our book is around Queensland government work.
And you referred to you referred to a book, my brother, just for the sake of our audience. When you refer to book, what are you referring to?
Just the book of work is the number of projects that we've got going on at any one time.
Yeah, wonderful. My brother, in regards to, I think it's a really nice lead in where you're talking about partnerships, and I know you're really, really big on it. I'm just wondering, in regards to for our audience and obviously for our program participants, what are your top 3 tips for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander building construction businesses that they can take away from our yarn today?
Yeah, number 1 is partnerships and relationships. Hutchinson Builders wouldn't be around for 110 years if it didn't have it. Not only do, we treat our clients really, really well, the big part of why we're able to do what we do is by looking after our subbies and suppliers. We make sure that we give them an environment to have open, honest, robust conversations. If we need to, we would rather have a conversation that if they see something that is not right, whether it be in the project, whether it be in our behaviour, whatever, that they're able to have those conversations as early as possible rather than when stuff has gone south, when stuff has gone bad, because it's all too late.
That's right.
So we treat our subbies and our suppliers like they're our family. Family we like. We make sure we look after them and hopefully they look after us. We pay on time. So again, it comes back to relationships and partnerships. Another one would be, another tip would be looking after your core business, particularly as an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander owned business. Lots of shiny opportunities come your way, whether it be politicians, government agency people showing up on your doorstep and saying, oh, have you thought about this? Have you looked at that? You go chasing those shiny toys for too long and you lose touch with what's your core business. You might actually lose what made you successful in the first place. So my tip would be looking after your core business and not being afraid to say no to things. Yeah, I think that would be a really good tip. But if you have to say no, be nice about it too. You might say, that's right. So you might just say, oh, look, we've got a full book at the moment and, we're really sorry. But, please look us up next time for the next one. Don't stretch yourself. Once you start taking on too much, you might overcapitalize, you might overstretch yourself, and you could, ruin your business as quickly as you were trying to build it. So,
yeah, great advice. I like that.
Look after your core business and stretch yourself a little bit each time. My last tip would probably be around creating your digital footprint, creating a digital identity. So, whether that be a professional website, your LinkedIn profile, or whatever. This is probably a generalisation, but most of the people that are out there that you're going to be working with, your contract administrators and that sort of stuff, they're young people. Younger generations tend to do all their communication through their phone, through their socials. I think sometimes they forget that phones are made for phone calls and actually speaking to people. So, and it can be terrifying for them to actually pick up the phone and speak to someone. So you've got to have a really good digital identity, because they will likely Google you and they need to find out everything that they need to about you. Are you code compliant? Do you have your ISOs? Your insurances? They need to have a look at projects that you've done, your capability, and clients that you've worked with in the past, and that sort of thing. So that would probably be my top 3 tips.
No, I like that. Partnerships, core business and digital footprint are very, very sound. In regards to our communities up in far north Queensland or in some of the remote areas, connectivity is an issue, Mark. So I'm just wondering, considering the digital footprint discussion, is there any other ways that you would suggest in regards to, obviously it's about brand presence, business presence within the marketplace. Have you seen it in other ways that it can be effective where there is connectivity is an issue?
It probably comes back to that communication piece. So, a digital footprint or a digital identity is a form of communication. It's a form of communication maybe for people who are terrified to communicate. But when you're dealing with what you've got, then perhaps your communication is more about meetings, forums, phone calls, discussions. May not be able to show your wares through things like, like I said, digital opportunities and that sort of stuff. So sticking to what you got and what you're good at, and sometimes that can be a conversation.
Deadly. And I suppose in regards to obviously with brothers and sisters that are on the ground, I mean, the grapevine does a wonderful thing. I think we're probably a good example as brothers, where we didn't really know much about each other, and then just having a yarn, just telling a story and being able to support each other. Sometimes the opportunity is not necessarily about connection. It's about connection in regards to your relationship, because there may not be an opportunity today, but it may be an opportunity tomorrow to be doing some work together. Is that a fair comment, Mark?
Absolutely. People people are like resources. You've got enough people around, you've got enough resources, so you can tap into people for the right thing. You've got resources, whether they be documents, policies, methods of doing things. They're all just tools in your toolkit. Pardon the pun. People are the same thing. Shouldn't say you can use people for what you need, but if you've got plenty of people around, you've got plenty of variety for opportunity.
Love it. My brother, in regards to, do you have any final advice for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses in the building construction industry, in regards to them getting this step up, or in regards to securing repeat opportunity? You shared earlier that one of the things that is a really big light bulb moment, I just wanted to share this, is that the repeat opportunities for Hutchies, Cairns Hospital, TI, all this type of stuff is based on in regards to the work, the quality of work that you're doing. Do you have any other forms of advice you could share with our brothers and sisters in the audience?
I think we all know the term, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So just because you have, sent an email to somebody, or you've sent through a capability statement, or you've made a phone call and they said, yeah, no worries, if something comes up, we'll let you know. Don't go sitting waiting for the phone to ring, or don't go sitting waiting for the email to arrive. You've got to get into people's faces. You've got to get off the chair, and you've got to get out there and put yourself out there and talk to people, and just be constantly in people's faces to remind them that you're still there. And bringing something to the table if you can. Is there an opportunity that you know about that maybe they didn't? Is there a cheaper way of doing something that they might not know about? Is there a new technology that perhaps you bring to the table that so you're bringing something to the table as well? You're not just asking or taking. You're giving across as well. So and I guess probably the final part on that is making sure that once you have sold yourself, sold your capability, you've got to deliver on it. Relationships can be really hard to earn. They can be really quick to sever. So making sure that you deliver on what you said you could do.
Amazing. No, I really appreciate that. My brother, the final question I have is, how do our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses that are located in far North Queensland, and the wider supply chain, how can they get further information or connect into the Hutchies family? What's the best way to do that?
We're an open book, so we literally put everything on our website. Phone numbers, emails of everybody that you need to, everything you need to find is on our website. We actually have an interactive map on our website that lists every single project that Hutchies is undertaking in the country, and the phone numbers of the people that are running that job, including the site manager. There's a section under our, I think it's under contacts, and it's called Opportunities or something like that. And you go into there and it'll list all the projects that Hutchies is either tendering or we've won and who to get in contact for that particular job. I think it's an automated system where you click on the person's name and it automatically starts half writing an email for you to that person. So you can literally jump straight on there. We also do tendering through places like Estimate One. We also do it on our socials as well, so things like LinkedIn and that sort of thing.
Do you utilize the Industry Capability Network or ICN at all? Do you utilize that platform at all?
No, we do, and sometimes we're required to, but a lot of it is through our internal systems and through Estimate One.
Yeah, great, my brother. Look, I really appreciate everything that you've shared today. I'm just gonna throw a bit of a furphy in here just as a last minute thing, just to give one of the things that I'm really proud to share with our brothers and sisters, and I think it's been remiss of me not to pay respects to it, is obviously that you're the chair of the Indigenous Participation in Construction Committee. For brothers and sisters that are out there, obviously, who are not as part of that community, what is the purpose of the committee, and what is some of your focus for that particular committee in general?
Yeah, look, you probably came across. I might blow my own trumpet here, and I'll try not to. But when I actually came to Hutchies back in 2012, can't believe it's 10 years, but
Geez, you're old.
and to think I'd spent 20 years prior to that somewhere else. But I think what we found through places like CSQ and through the Queensland government was that I had a lot of knowledge around Indigenous employment and training programs, policies, but also how they're related to the construction environment. So when they actually put me inside a construction company and I was able to bring that, I guess, knowledge to practice, things started to kind of go through the roof a little bit, not only for Hutchies, but the industry in general. So there was a thought that if they could put me in an environment where I'm sharing this sort of experience and knowledge with other tier 1, tier 2 companies and that sort of stuff, it's just good for the industry. Yeah. It's good for our mob. It's good for our industry. So I think between the Queensland government and it was DATSIP at the time and through Construction Skills Queensland, they formed this committee. It had a much larger name back then that we won't try and repeat, but it brought in the likes of your FKGs, your Seymour Whites, your BMDs, CPBs, etc., into a room where we're discussing best practice and how we go about things and some of the challenges that we're facing and that sort of stuff. And obviously, I've been honoured to chair that group since its formation back in 2014.
Wow, it's been going around for a fair while.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realise. I suppose the membership's changed quite a bit in regards to so around the actual committee itself. What are some of the things that have evolved that you've seen since you've been chairing it, and where's the future direction of where the committee sees the industry going?
Look, I think every organisation that's involved in it has been on their own journey and at their own pace. So whether that means a reconciliation action plan for a particular organisation where they're able to actually, put some processes in place about how they will do things in their own organisation. It could be other organisations setting their own targets or even just being better at following or addressing things like training policies and that sort of thing. So, but I think for the wider part, it's almost, you're almost challenged by what your peers are doing. So you're seeing what BMD are doing and CPB are doing on the Cross River Rail stuff. You're seeing what FKG are doing in the space and painters and things like that, and you kind of go, geez, we should lift our act or whatever. So you're almost challenged to do better. And if you're challenged to do better as an industry or as a construction company, then it's only good for mob.
Yeah, definitely.
It's our people that are benefiting out of these companies trying to do better.
Yeah, thanks, my brother, and I appreciate your time today. I want to thank you, Brother Mark, for being a part of the Community of Practice Yarning Circle today. Your advice has been deadly, and I'm sure our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander building and construction businesses and businesses in general would have taken something away from our yarn today. Let us finish as we started, and I just acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're all on, and pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to pay respect and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander brothers and sisters, wherever the hell you are in regards to our global village and dialing in from today. If you are an established Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander building and construction business operating in far North Queensland and North Queensland regions, contact us, contact the Keriba building construction team and be a part of the program. We'd love to have you on board. It extends to the buyers, for example, Hutchinson's, Mark and Hutchinson's family, and other buyers that are in the marketplace that are engaging meaningfully with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses in those regions. If you got something to share, some information, you'd like to share some opportunities or anything, I want to encourage you. I want you to come on board and share some of your knowledge, some of the information you have, because as Mark has shared and the work that he's doing in the committee and the work that he continues to do 10 plus years now, is really, really meaningful. It's going to evolve. And as Mark has shared, it's benefiting the community. It is bringing community together. It is creating economic independence. It is creating a greater capability out there. And more importantly, it strengthens the Indigenous business brand. I just want to say thank you very much for everyone for dialing in today. And once again, Brother Mark Kucks, humbled, and thank you very much, my brother, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.